So here we have a match between myself and the Tomb Kings from the first person perspective. And today we're going to be looking at how to prioritize your micro. Now as the battle gets underway, we're going to see a very important thing to do at the start of the battle. It's to check the spells and abilities of your opponent. It's a very standard kit for Ark in the Black. It's going to be some Spirit Leech spam. So it's pretty important that I don't get my Lord anywhere low or he's going to get picked off. But onto the actual unit control. An easy trick you'll see here is selecting your entire army and zigzagging your way towards your opponent. As I get closer, you can see I detach my infantry from my main dodging force, and instead just sort of have them move forwards. Meanwhile, I keep my cavalry and chariots slightly back so I can continue dodging back and forth with them. But getting closer to the main fight now, I move up with my mobility, and I'm going to have to decide which units to prioritize. It's going to be Taurox targeting Ark in the Black, the chariots have targeted the infantry, and the cavalry are moving up to begin pressuring. My eyes are specifically on the Tomb King's chariots, waiting for them to move in, and as they dive forwards, I use my cavalry to countercharge them, which will be supporting my front line quite a bit. My chariots, I just gave them a command to move on to the center, and Taurox is standing completely still, tanking a lot of damage. This is a bit of a misplay, but is not really part of the main analysis. Just make sure that your Lord is rushing into combat when he's rushing. But for the actual mainline fight, the chariots, they are bouncing between infantry. A good trick to make sure that they continue to get their very high charge bonus off is to just target the next infantry down the line. This will help with their pathing and sort of maneuvering through infantry, and that generally keeps them at pretty high damage. Meanwhile, my cavalry have done a great job shutting down the chariots. And as for my infantry, I'm barely paying attention to them, basically just giving them attack orders to move forward. There is, however, an opportunity on the right flank where I can use spears to chase down Ushapti. Now my Centaurs, the next order of priority is to shut down those Ushapti. And to do that, my Centaurs are now going to be moving on to the side and centers of the Tomb King's formation. I've made myself a fairly nice hole using the chariots, and with a big dive in on my cavalry, the sepulchral stalkers and the Ushapti in the back line are now shut down. My caster doesn't really have enough Winds of Magic for another Manticore summon yet, and he won't for a while, and Taurox is getting pretty beat up now. That initial misplay, bringing him down to half HP at the start of the battle, definitely gonna be punished this game as Taurox gets dived in on by Ark in the Black. Instead of trying to pull him to safety, which would almost assuredly get him killed, I just decide to commit to the fight against Ark in the Black, and this does get him a little bit more value. But my cavalry does dive in onto the ROR Ushapti, thus shutting down the last main strength of the Tomb Kings. The sepulchral stalkers will be going down too. And although Ark in the Black is alive, the rest of the Tomb King's army is just infantry. They will go down rather quickly to my chariots, but the Tomb Kings do have a possible chance of coming back by killing off Taurox. It could cause a pretty large terror rout. Thankfully for me though, my leadership is doing pretty good. And even though I do lose Taurox in the end, the battle is still very much so in my favor. So while I finish off the rest of the enemy forces, if you enjoyed, I make similar live and edited content to this. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. And special thanks to my patrons, Red Wedding Planner, Romacarol, and Biblington, that support the ladder that this match was played on.